Welcome to the 4th annual WFC Hall of Fame. Yeah, make some noise, everybody. We doing all right? All right, you can kill it. You have to forgive me. Everybody makes fun of my haircut recently. They don't know what I have. I just looked at myself in the mirror and realized that I'm a cross between a broke Garth Brooks and a tweaker version of Rodney Carrington. Some people got that joke. I was told before I come out here, I've got to continue doing this year after year, I've got to come up with new material. So some of this stuff, if it's not funny, just humor me and laugh, okay? But there we go. Good job. We'll take the hat off there. Wow. Yes, I'm old. Don't make fun of me. I need glasses. First of all, if you'll humor me a minute, I'm going to begin with a sidebar. I really believe that Alex and JD, Josh and Jeremy, Simply the Future should be standing up here together at some point. Because STF was one of the best tag teams, WFC, I, in parentheses, had the privilege of producing and booking. So to the powers that be, we all know who that is, let's just make that happen sometime soon and make them the first tag team inducted into the WFC Hall of Fame. Meow, 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 meow. Oh, wait, that's the part where my cat walked in the room and I was using talk to text. Forget about that. If you were to jump on the video game and create a wrestler, Alex Royal's probably the best you can come up with. Just make sure you give him a creative move set. He's a student of the game. He has, or does have the best promo skills of any wrestler I've ever seen in WFC. If it had not been for my stupidity and ego, we could have had feud of the decade the way things were setting up in late 2020. One of the best in-ring segments I ever did was giving Alex 2 chair shots and then proceeded to give 16 more chair shots to students and security that tried to break that melee up. Big Stevie Caballero came that close to getting hit. And if that would have happened, I would have been able to do one more match earlier this year. Alex is the only wrestler in WFC to win every title, a Rumble, a Ryder Cup, and believe it or not, at one point he created his own match. Alex told me about a month ago, and I quote, "Personally, I just enjoyed my work after 30 because I was in shape. I felt like people took me more serious." Listen, it may not mean much in the grand scheme of things, but from one of the crankiest, most opinionated guys in just about any locker room I ever stepped in, nah, bro, a good wrestler is a good wrestler. Whether they are square, circular, tall, skinny, short, nerdy, or hip, Alex Royal, whatever shape you were in, it never affected your ability to put on a good performance. And we all attend wrestling events to see a good performance, right? Right. Alex has done so much within WFC, in and out of the ring over the years. And tonight, we relive stories, we thank him, we recognize his accomplishments, and welcome him as the 4th inductee into the Hall of Fame. But before we get into any of that, let's sit back and watch a highlight video at this moment.
take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alex is so special that he doesn't get just one inductee tonight. He gets two. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the first one, family Zach Royal. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, John Cross Bloodworth.
What is up, everybody? It's been a little bit. I appreciate you guys coming tonight. It means everything to me, and I know especially to Josh. Before I get started on my story with Josh, I just want to read something. Obviously, most of you guys know that Alex, Josh, is expecting to be a dad very soon, right? So his wife could not be here, so she did write me a little something short for her to say. So this is from Sam, Josh. I am super proud of you. You deserve this more than anyone. And Connor and I love you so much, and we can't wait for this next chapter in life for you to be our champion. So, all right, let's get this thing started. As many of you guys know, I've known Josh since obviously my entire life. Every moveset, everything. I have been the testing toy of it all. Started out in the backyard and everything, and I will say Josh has always been Hill Alex Royal. He has always done everything that you've guys seen over the years. Whenever I was 10 years old, we played hooky from school. He stripped me completely naked. Put me in the garage and waited about 3:30 and waited for all of our friends getting off the bus to walk past our house. He opened up the door and then hit the garage door opener, and it slowly started going up as I was in the garage. So that's just one of many stories. So Hill Alex Royal has always been there, just clawing its way out. But tonight we're here to celebrate Alex Royal, the championships, the moments, the memories, and the legacy he built inside this ring that we are standing in right now. But I'd like to talk about the man behind the name, my brother Josh. When people ask me who Josh is, I could talk about wrestling for days. I could talk about the countless miles we put in going to each venue, the packed buildings that he helped create, the matches and the moments that led him here to tonight. But that's not who he is to me. To me, he's the person who helped raise me. He's the person who looked after me when life got hard. He's the person who carried more than he could share, so I wouldn't have to carry it all alone. See, whenever we were younger, very young, I was 10 and he was 13, our mom passed away. We were just kids. Life changed forever, but through all of that uncertainty, there was one thing I never questioned. Josh would always be there. And he was. Whether you knew it or not, I spent my whole entire life watching and trying to be like Josh. Watching how hard he worked, watching how he sacrificed for everyone around him. I've always said, Josh has one of the biggest hearts of anyone I've ever known. He's the kind of person who will give without expecting anything back. The kind of person who will put everyone else's needs ahead of his own. The kind of person who will drive all night, help a friend, sometimes answer the phone, or show up whenever nobody else will. That's just how he is, because it's simply how he's wired. Some of our favorite memories aren't from wrestling shows. It's from the long rides to go to football games, the miles on the roads, the conversations at midnight whenever everybody else is asleep and we're just talking, the laughter, the stories, the dreams, the moments when it was just two brothers trying to figure out life together. Those are the memories I'll carry with me forever. I remember watching him prepare for every show, standing right back there, the focus, the passion, the commitment. Before anyone called him Alex Royal, before anyone called him the Showcase, he was already becoming the person who he eventually was to you guys. Because wrestling was never something Josh just did on a Saturday. He loved it. And if you know Josh, and you're fortunate to know Josh behind the curtain, you know when he loves something, he dedicates 100% to it. That's why we are having this Hall of Fame induction, and that's why it feels so right. Not because of what he accomplished, but because of how he accomplished it. With the passion, the heart, the integrity, and with his love. There's a quote from Josh's favorite TV show of all time, The Vampire Diaries. And it says, forever and always. When I think about my brother, those three words hit differently. Because for most of my life, Josh has been the one looking after me, the one making sure that I was okay, the one carrying the responsibility of being a big brother. But standing here tonight, I realize something has changed. For the first time in my life, he doesn't have to spend all of his energy taking care of me anymore. Because now he gets to start the greatest chapter of his life. He gets to be a dad. And honestly, there isn't a person in this world more prepared for that role. Because the same selflessness he's shown me his entire life, the same love he's poured into his family and to his friends, the same heart he gives to everyone around him, he's about to give that to his child. And that little boy, Connor, is going to be so incredibly lucky to have Alex, the Showcase, Josh Royal, as a father. Josh, you spent your whole life protecting people, encouraging people, and helping people become a better version of themselves. I just want you to know you've done that. You have also done that for me every single day. You are the person I aspire to be, not because of this wrestling career, not because of the recognition, not because of the Hall of Fame, but because of your character and because of your heart. Because of the way you simply love people. You've shown me what a man should be, and now you're able to show the world what kind of father you will be. I know Mom would be so proud of the man you have become, and I know she'd be even prouder watching you become the father you're going to be. So Josh, thank you for every ride, every lesson, every sacrifice, every memory, every moment. And another thing, I do owe you quite a bit receipts. I did not forget the super kicks, the chair shots, and everything else that you've done to me over the years. But it all comes down to one thing. I love you more than you'll ever know. So here's congratulations to the showcase, congratulations to the Hall of Famer, and congratulations to Josh Royal, forever and always.
Well, I don't know what I'm needed for, but here I stand. I've been asking myself that for a number of years, walking through the curtains of this company. What do they actually need me for? You guys are good without me. You've proven that in the time that I've been gone. So much respect to WFC, their crew, their leaders, their producers, and everyone involved. This is amazing. This is an outstanding event that I've been a part of. And hey, my picture's on the wall. Look at that. That's great. Oh, sure. Rest in peace to those abs, man. Rest in peace. But anyway, you know, I've been trying to figure out how exactly to start this whole thing. You probably expect me to deliver some heartfelt moments, maybe even some jokes. Maybe I even tell you about how this show almost didn't happen tonight because Alex had quite the emergency. Would you like to know what that emergency was? Alex had a really hard time closing his wallet. It has too much money in it, guys. But we got it closed. We're all good. He's back there. He's ready to rock, pocket full of money. It's going to be a great night. I may disappoint everyone today. If you expected me to deliver some eloquent speech as John Cross, WFC legend, I'm not that guy anymore, and I'm very much at peace with that, which I owe a lot to Alex Royal. But I do have a job to do tonight, and although the whole John Cross and wrestling has left me behind, one of my MOs is we get the job done. No matter where, no matter what, we get the job done. So I am going to do my job tonight. And when somebody gets inducted into any Hall of Fame, you're supposed to explain why they deserve it. The problem with my position standing before you is if you've all been paying attention like you should, you already know why Alex deserves to be in this Hall of Fame. Although I will say, didn't you wrestle Alex like 6 months ago? So I'm a little like, this could be a swerve, brother. Like I'm expecting to get jumped at any moment here in the ring myself and roped into some battle royal later tonight. But I don't think that's the case. The kid and your wife, that really convinced me that you might actually be leaving this thing behind. So maybe this is all on the up and up. But I guess I digress. Let me tell you a story. So, yeah. Oh, that's the catchphrase. Yes, thank you. I don't know details and specifics. I don't have one of those brains that can tell you what happened where and what moment and what building and what town. That's not me, but I do know that I was there. I was there when Alex was walking around here in a cut-off T-shirt and blue jeans, and before he figured out that wasn't his style, I was there. Before he was even called Alex, I was there. I was there the day that he chose that name, or people helped choose that name. Him and JD both, went from rolling around in this ring to becoming performers way too soon, as we often do. And I was there the day that he got his name. And I don't remember the exact conversation. I do remember someone asking me what I thought of the name Alex Royal, and I was like, wow, how underwhelming that is. Like, Alex, Josh, who cares? His last name's Royal. That's going to be the gimmick. What's it matter? And then, at some point, I find out that Alex Royal, AR, the initials, were the initials of his mother. And that, if you're paying attention, ladies and gentlemen, should tell you a lot about the person, about the character, about the man that we're standing up here talking about tonight. There's this thing in wrestling, and if you're new to wrestling, or if you're thinking about getting involved, or if you've just started, let's talk about this for a moment, because that should tell you that even at the very beginning, before the Oklafan matches of the year and the championships, and before the blue jeans and the cutoffs went away, he had a name that meant something to him, and he had a reason to fight for it. Before anything ever even began, he had a reason to fight for it. So, if you have a name, a character, a meaning, a message, something that you actually can care about, you'll fight for it. And no matter what silly thing is thrown at you in the wonderful, magical kingdom of wrestling, you'll fight to make it work for you. So Alex did that from the very beginning before he ever debuted alongside JD as the tag team STF, Simply the Future, as Dexter spoke about earlier. And let me tell you about that name, Simply the Future. It was dangerously accurate. I would even say it was annoyingly accurate at times. There was a time when I was the WFC heavyweight champion, wrestling in what I think could main event any building in a 100-mile radius, but I was in the third match. And who was in the main event? Alex and JD as the tag team Simply the Future. And at the time, I think he'll come out here and correct me, I'm sure, if I'm wrong, but I was proud of them. I gave them their flowers in the locker room, but inside, I was butthurt. I was not happy about that. I'm the champ, baby, and the champ should be in the main event, not the tag team. But, you know, if you know what to look for, you know that it was the right decision on that occasion. And over the years, I've become so incredibly proud of Alex because independent wrestling is full of people who want to be wrestlers. Very few people who feel like wrestlers. And long before STF exploded, not because they were flashy and not because they were political and not just because opportunities were tossed at them, they exploded because bell to bell they were good. It goes a long way, guys. If you want to get something in this world, in this ring, I mean, maybe be good at what you're doing. Like, that's an important thing. So, I mean, there's a lot that can be said about Alex and his transformations, but I quickly noticed that he wasn't just promising. He was inevitable. And here we stand today inducting him into a Hall of Fame. And when his personality started to grow and he developed this character, dressing sharp, expensive taste, fancy water and glass bottles, it just fit. Right? I was the guy that was wrong. When STF separated, I thought Alex should have been the good guy and JD should have been the bad guy. How terribly wrong I was in that situation. And all this time later, it's been proven time and time again. People like JD and hate Alex, right? Isn't that the way it goes? That's right, right? Yes. I think they made the right decision because naturally, like his brother said, he just comes off as kind of an a-hole at times, you know? I mean, it is what it is. But on the outside of the ring, he's got a great heart. He's got a great soul, and I think that is why he's ended up here today. To this day, Alex will call me a mentor, an inspiration, a teacher. I think that's why I'm actually standing here today. And I never saw myself that way. I honestly never really thought I made much of a contribution to pro wrestling in general. But if I played even a small role in helping create one of the best wrestlers that this state has ever produced, then maybe that is enough for my own legacy. And in 2016, my body completely gave out on me. You want to hear that deep detail, you just go back and listen to my Hall of Fame speech. But I quit wrestling because I had to. And if you've ever quit something under those circumstances, you know that it doesn't really feel noble. It feels like grief. And it was hard, man. It was hard for me to let it go. And Alex gave me a lifeline. He let me become his manager, his ringside guy. And we'd travel around. I'd be his obnoxious ringside manager, cheating, and it was a great time. And I don't think Alex ever fully understood how much that meant to me at the time. I thought wrestling had ended for me, and he gave me a way to still belong. We started a podcast called What Can You Offer? And somehow this dumb little podcast became a hit, at least amongst this crowd, right? And we talked pop culture, life, jokes. We talked about whatever came to mind. We talked about his mother, and we talked about when my father passed away. This was therapy for me, and some of my favorite memories of spending time with Alex have nothing to do with this ring and everything to do with sitting for hours in Claremore in his business recording what was genuinely just therapy for me. And again, I have to thank him for that. Fast forward a few years, during one of those recordings, he did what he likes to do, and I know it. Hey, I got you, brother. I can recognize this stuff. He wanted to throw some hooks out there and see if he could manipulate me in a way. And he starts talking about something where he brings together all of the companies in the state of Oklahoma. We're going to do one show with everybody and all the best wrestlers, and it's going to be great, and everybody's going to love each other, and we're going to call it Oklahoma Exclusive. We're going to call it OKX. What would it take for you to be involved? I don't really know how the conversation went, but I do know that somewhere, somehow, I tossed out the name Luke Langley because that's somebody that I deeply, deeply respect. Yep, absolutely. He deserves that. And Alex basically said, done, we'll make it happen. And I remember driving home from Claremore that night and taking a bag of potato chips out of my console and dumping them out the window, because if I was going to return to wrestling, I was going to return as the absolute best version that that anyone had ever seen, which I think at that time I did actually pull off. And I tell that to say this is Alex giving me purpose, a gift that I don't think I can ever repay. Purpose. And I mean, I went on a little tour of, thanks to OKX and thanks to the performance of that, some of the other powers that be in this state were pretty cool with me just selecting my dream opponents and just going around and doing that thing. And again, that's because of Alex that I had that opportunity, and I loved it. It was a great time. And I mean, one of the most important things that I did was wrestle him. And I know that he's not super happy with the match that we had in Tahlequah because he doesn't think he was the best version of himself. But I'll counter that with this. You were the best version that you were in that moment, and you did the absolute best you could with the current version of yourself that you had. So, you see, hey, just look, this is between me and you guys. Don't let any of those old farts back there like tell you otherwise. But, you see, the highest compliment that I can pay another person is to wrestle them and want to wrestle them and give it my all and put effort into the creation of an important match. And I got to do that with Alex in Tahlequah, and man, it was such a thrill for me to be able to give back to him in that way, to give him a better version of myself that I didn't get to do when I was active. Right, when I was earning my spot on that wall back there, I didn't get to do that stuff. And then COVID happens. There was supposed to be an OKX2, and it kept getting pushed back, and I slowly started to regret all these extra matches that I had, but I knew I didn't want to just fizzle off, right? So I asked Alex for another favor. If I can get this guy, can I do this? And then I'll just fade off. I'll be happy and fade away. That guy was Aaron Anders. That was the guy that I wanted to wrestle. Yes. And again, Alex gave me that stage. One of the greatest nights of my life, not just in wrestling, but in life. That night gave me closure in a way that I can't properly explain. Man, what a great time. Alex gave that gift to me. So, for years, when I was at my best as the bad guy here, I used to say lots of things, right? I used to say I was, a measuring stick. I was the best speaker. I was the standard here. That was the character. That was John Cross. That was the character. That's what we do, right? I'm the bad guy. I'm going to say these things. I'm going to make you mad. The truth is, all those things that I said about myself are actually true about Alex Royal. He is a better talker than I ever was. He's about to prove that in just a few moments. He was a better wrestler than I ever was. He might not acknowledge that, but it's just true, because he had a better mind for how to put effort into a match. I, personally, quite selfish when it came to putting together matches. I just wanted to have good matches. But this is a man who actually put thought and effort into some of the things that he did. And that is why this induction matters, because this isn't just about great matches. This is about impact. It's about passion. It's about creating opportunities for other people. It's about loving Oklahoma wrestling enough to leave it better. So Alex, I know you credit me for helping shape part of your wrestling career, but the truth is, you shaped part of my life to this day. I'm happy to call you a friend. I'm happy to know that I can text you at any time. That's an important thing, right? When you got a text buddy. I don't know if I will ever be able to properly thank you for the role that you played in my wrestling and my personal life. But I can do this. It is my privilege to stand here tonight and welcome my friend, my brother, and one of the best professional wrestlers that I have ever seen in person into the Wrestling for a Cause Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Royal.
The showcase is here.
These mics are a little bit new since the last time I was here. I think it was right here when Tim hit me with that crowbar, and I looked up at those lights, and 1, 2, 3, and everything changed just like that. And then I proceeded to leave my boots right here, right around this smudgy paint spot, which tells me Wesley Crane must be back. But I want to talk to all the wrestlers right now that's in the crowd. I appreciate you being out here, and I've been in your shoes because I've been out here and I've watched these Hall of Fames. And I know what you're thinking right now, and some of you probably really do care to hear what I have to say. But then some of you are probably thinking about your match tonight, and I want to let you know you are now on Alex Royal's time. So, when this mic, we'll get to that. You know, I want to kind of go off the cuff a little bit, right? I had a speech planned for a month. I practiced it. I was excited. I was hyper-focused on it. It's one thing to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. It's another thing to be asked to be in the Hall of Fame 9 months after your last match. Now, why is that relevant? After my last match, we found out we were pregnant with a baby boy. Immediately after. It made it abundantly clear to me that I was making the right choice, stepping away from wrestling to start a new chapter of my life. Everything I ever wanted in wrestling, as far as my pond goes, I was very happy with it. Make no mistake about it, this will always be Alex Royal's pond. But something happened, and I wrote these notes, and I had things I was going to say, and I was going to talk about how my son was on his way, and June 28th was the due date, and then Tuesday, June 2nd, my wife's water broke. Yeah. And I became a father on 6/2/26. And he is a perfect, healthy baby boy. We'll post pictures when the time comes. But the first part of my speech is shot, so you just get me winging it. But I want to say thank you to my wife. She's not here, obviously. It was very nice what Zach and John said. It's very nice what she said. I want to say thank you for giving me all the support I could ever need. Thank you for always pushing me to be the best version of myself. And thank you for creating with me the single greatest thing I will ever do, Connor Alexander Royal. And yes, Alexander means Alex, for all of you that don't get where I'm going with on that. But I want to say thank you to my family. Thank you to my grandfather for turning our backyard into a wrestling arena. Thank you to my parents for taking me to a garage sale where I found WrestleMania 14 on VHS and said, one day I'm going to put on a pair of boots just like that, and I'm going to get in this ring and I'm going to entertain for the audience. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I want to thank you to my dad and Diane for always setting up my operating my merch table and doing so everywhere we traveled to wrestle. That's a big part, and if you want to do a solid for these wrestlers, go ahead and visit their merch table. I'm sure they appreciate it. Thank you to anyone I ever worked with on any level, and I know I'm unintentionally going to leave a lot of people out tonight, but just know I don't mean to. But if I worked with you from a camera standpoint, a music standpoint, in this ring, on this microphone, behind this camera, from concessions, this whole wheel turns because of a lot of people. And we get to get in here. You can clap for that. We get to get in here and be in this ring, and I want to use the analogy of we get to be the paintbrush. You see, we get to be the brush that makes the broad strokes and make the pretty painting that you guys get to see, purchase, and enjoy, but they're the canvas. They're the oils. They're the different colors. And without them, we're just a paintbrush in a cupboard. With them, we create masterpieces. Thank you to the audience. If you've ever booed me, cheered me, yelled at me, threw things at me, spit on me, yes, that has happened. I appreciate you, because truthfully, the worst thing you could do for a professional wrestler is sit on your hands and not make any noise. And I can honestly say, anytime Alex Royal was in this ring, y'all never were quiet. You always let me know if you love me, and you let me know if you hated me. And to me, that's something special. I appreciate that. Now, most of you know I'm a mover when I talk. I like to move and I like to connect, and I'm not going to stay behind this little podium. That was actually a knock by scouts. They like you to look down the barrel and deliver the promo. I'm a mover and a shaker. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's going to happen here in this promo. I do want to say this. This does not happen by accident. This does not happen because you phone it in and go to Whataburger with your friends after the show. This happens because you care. This happens because you invest in yourself, because you put effort in, not just when your music hits, not just when you're in this ring, but on the quiet weekdays that nobody's watching. On the time you're in the gym and don't want to be there, your gear, your ability to speak into this microphone, it all matters. Wrestling can be really good and incredibly fulfilling. You just have to set your own personal standard and make sure you always strive to hit it, regardless if there's 5 people, 15, or 1,500, it all matters. Promos. Everybody knows I like talking in this microphone. All I ever wanted was power and freedom on this microphone. My personal favorite part of what we do. I would study different lines and song lyrics, honestly. I would listen to songs, and if I heard something, I'd write it down. If I was watching a movie and something jumped out and I said, man, I can use that later on in a promo, I'd write it down. Might not use it right away, but I would have it. My mind would never turn off. If I was sleeping, working out, doing anything, I would stop dead in my tracks, and I would write notes of promo lines. A quick example, I was watching Reacher 4 years ago, and in that scene, he was talking to somebody, and he was angry, and it was the climax of the movie, and he said, I want to hurt you, I'm going to maul you, I want to mangle you, I'm going to drink your blood from a boot. I said, man, I'm not in a story right now where I can use that, but one day I'm gonna. And I put it in my notes, and I waited, and it was my final program with Tim Rockwell, and I laid that line on him, and to this day, that is his favorite promo I've ever cut. I want to tell all the wrestlers, remember, this microphone is a privilege. It is also incredible power. I realized very early that if you want to be a star, you have to present yourself as a star, talk like a star, act like a star, and in return, everybody in the audience will start to view you as a star. I aim to make every payoff match special, and I built the showcase character off a big fight feel through special entrances, video packages, and easy-to-remember monikers. Does anybody remember my catchphrase for the last 2 years? Alex Royal delivers. Catchy, easy, effective, marketable. That's what you should be looking at. Now that delivering, this is a funny one, and I know Graham's in the crowd, and he hates it when he hates this part of the business. Not in a bad way, but he just gives reason behind it. That delivering was to performance because every single big match, I lost. And you can laugh because it doesn't hurt my feelings anymore. I've been out for 9 months. Alex Royal versus JD, Hometown Heroes Anniversary, loss. John Cross, Showdown, loss. Luke Langley, Anniversary 10, loss. Sam Stackhouse, Summer Sizzler, the night he went viral, loss. Alex Royal versus Rhett, cage match, loss. EC3, NWA World Heavyweight Championship, loss. Tommy Dean, 3-year front door, loss. Mr. Anderson, Extravaslamza, loss. Tim Rockwell, Anniversary, cage match, loss. Now, I say all that to let you know you can still become extremely over doing the job you're given. And I will always say the house was always full and the house was always hot. So here are some quick action points for all the guys who want main events, matches of the year, and every single accolade this company has to offer. Mic work, own it, believe it. In ring, know the difference between wrestling and working. And if you're really good, you can do both. Carry your weight. Nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to work with a slacker. Don't be a yeah, but kind of guy. Moves are cool. How's your punch? How's your lockup? How are your facials? And I say this, and I give you this quote if you don't know where to start. An imperfect plan started today is better than a perfect plan never started. And that's by Jim Rohn, and I live by that. Now you guys are tired of hearing the talking. You're ready for 7 o'clock for the wrestling. But I'm a big believer in giving flowers, right? Because I believe oftentimes people wait till people are gone to give those flowers. People wait till they're gone to celebrate. And I want to take my Hall of Fame, and I compile the list of people. And again, if I forget you, I do apologize. But I compile the list of people that I want to give some flowers because this isn't possible without these people. These people are cornerstones to what I was able to accomplish here in WFC. But I gotta start with Christopher the Gift Giftin, aka Big Old JD. Yeah. You know, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the show the last 9 months, but Tim's kind of retiring everybody that is around me. So just let him know you're available, and maybe you guys can work something out. This 100% has to start with JD. There's 0% chance I ever become a wrestler without JD. We came in this business together. We trained together. We became top heel and top babyface across from each other. And Jeremy hates the stories that I tell because Jeremy does have a flair for the dramatics. In our very first show, John Cross, Mr. Nasty in the main event, AC Slaughter and Diamond Dogs in like a best of 7 series. It's an incredible event in Claremore at the Expo Center, great venue, the Nines. And it's our first show, and we're backstage in that cutoff and those jeans that John Cross was talking about. And we're standing by the curtain, and the Diamond Dogs just killed it. And they walk through the curtain, and Graham and Luke walk by, and they just so far in my mind distance from anything we could ever do. And Jeremy nudges me, and he leans in my ear, and he says, "That's going to be us one day." Those are the dramatics I love about JD. He's also one of the most creative minds I've ever seen in wrestling, and is a wealth of knowledge and ideas that are beneficial to any wrestling company. Plus, who could forget all the sweet STF memories, right? And John talks a lot about OKX, and I'm glad he has those feelings, but that is not possible with me by myself. JD and Coach Doggins, I know you all hate him in this building, but Coach Doggins and JD, 100%, we were a tripod that made that happen. Truthfully, JD, we pushed each other. We forced each other to level up. You made me a better wrestler. And if I'm being 100% honest, I hope the same thing applies to fatherhood. Because if I'm a quarter of the father you are to your kids, I'm going to be okay. I thank you. Justin Riker. There you are back there with a sweet ponytail. Got that flowing red hair. He's my dude in the locker room. I wrestled for my first single championship against Riker. We became friends right after. And we just cared so much about bringing quality wrestling to the state of Oklahoma. It was in a time that everybody looked at Oklahoma wrestling and they looked down on it. And we looked at it and said, we want to level it up. We want to take the Hometown Heroes Championship and make it mean something. We took that extremely personal. We stayed in this company when everybody else faded out. We represented our era of WFC. One of my favorite moments and favorite matches is a triple threat I had against Trench Blythe, wherever he's at, and Riker. I did not want to go. I was not motivated. I did not want to wrestle. Riker showed up at my house, picked me up in the car, and we went on to have one of my favorite matches I ever had, and I'm so thankful he did that, and he drugged me to the venue. Riker, thank you for being a pillar in that locker room and for being a close friend. Now, these days, I just send him reels that absolutely cook his algorithm. And he knows it, too. And a lot of my friends know it, too. Scott Brumley in the back. He's back there right now. Scott and Kevin, always making us look cooler than we really are. You saw the little snafu to open the show with no music and Dexter grabbing the mic, you know. If they're not back there doing that, it's real awkward to do a show without music. You know what I mean? Like, you guys don't want to be singing. So, and I damn sure don't want to sing my entrance music. Scott Brumley is the stroke of the key on every big entrance I ever had, from Top Gun to Thanos. Scott always made my stuff look so dope. I'm a big believer in big entrances and big moments, and Scott always pulled the trigger, so I thank you. Tommy Dean. Tommy Dean's made it clear he's retiring soon, so make sure you guys are all there for his final match. It's a pleasure to work with Tommy. I would venture to say he's my greatest rival I have ever had in wrestling. I had great moments with JD and Tim and John, and we all know that, but Tommy's the person I wrestled more times and more places all across this state, trading championships, trading wins, and even creating brand new matches through your front door. When it comes to wrestling, Alex Royal will always be tied to Tommy Dean. And it was crazy. We were thrust into this moment in a match, in a tables match, in the co-main, and what I thought at the time was supposed to be a cool down. And it went on to be the match of the year, and a match that still holds up today, a match that I'm still incredibly proud of. And I'll always be tied to you, Tommy, in wrestling, and I'm absolutely good with that. I appreciate you. Mr. Nasty, where's Mr. Nasty at? There he is. I know he hates it, but Bobby. I love Bobby, man. You know, there's so many stories I could tell. And you know what? I wasn't going to tell this story because this isn't, he knows what I'm talking about. I wasn't going to tell this story because this is a kid-friendly show, so I'm not going to say the details of what I saw. But we just had a show called Sex and Violence recently, and you guys just let your minds roll on that. And Nasty's in this match, and there's all these weapons, and he pulls me aside, and he's like, brother, I just can't get hit in the face with the type of stuff that's at this show. And I said, man, take me over and show me where that stuff's at. And he's pointing at this table of gimmicks, and I'm like, oh my God, I look to the left, and he's so focused on the stuff on this table, he doesn't realize there is a gun sitting on the other table. And we both died laughing. It was amazing. I wasn't going to tell that. It was so funny. And but the truth is, what I love most about Bobby is he's gracious. And he takes his time and he cares. And remember that story I told you, nudging JD, and JD nudged me saying, that's going to be us one day? That very same night, John and Nasty tore it down. We went to the locker room. Nasty was right after a main event, sweating, tired, just won the title. And I get it. I've been in this spot, and it's a hard thing to cool down and all of a sudden be ready to teach. And Nasty was so gracious, giving us his time, and I will never forget that. Bobby, I appreciate you and everything you do for the state. Even though my wife calls you Pastor Nasty. So, Wesley Crane. Gosh, got to talk about Wes, right? I know Tim's somewhere cringing right now, me talking about Wes, but I got to, you know. This man worked with me for 10 years and helped me develop graphics, gear, music, and endless hype videos. That video they played for me up there was all Wesley Crane. I would bring ideas after ideas after ideas. I would send him voice memos of the craziest things, and he would turn them into the most incredible reality. That's the kind of person Wes is. But it doesn't stop there. Wes is also an exceptional wrestler, and I would venture to say a top 5 promo in the history of this state. And I don't think he gets enough love for that. So, Wes, I appreciate you, man. Haskell Patton, a.k.a. Red Dirt Reed, a.k.a. Reed Patton. Haskell is one of my very best friends, someone who had a very underrated WFC run. He's a HGH champion and a Ryder Cup winner. So what a night to be here. He's the first person I ever put my stamp on and said, this is one of my guys. When he would perform, he was one of Alex Royal's guys. He's the most loyal person I know and always fulfills his end of the bargain, even if it means shaving your beard into a little Howie Mandel juice catcher. And truthfully, honestly, and I mean this in all sincerity, if I have one phone call and I need someone, I'm calling Haskell because I know he will show up no matter what. Appreciate you. And all you wrestlers that are waiting for me to finish, I'm getting there. Right? I can feel you. I can feel your energy. Derek James and Cade Fight. I know you guys didn't really want to clap. You know, I heard you kind of stall, is he going to should I clap or should I not? But these guys deserve it. They truly made my last couple years in wrestling so enjoyable. One of my favorite matches I ever had was the inaugural Bizarre Underground against Cade Fight. Love that. And who could forget the tag match that ended STF that we had in Claremore, which is probably bell to bell the best match we ever had as a tag team. My absolute favorite quality, and I'll leave it at this, about Cade and Derek, is they both care deeply for the business, and I can always get down with that. Thank you. Tommy the Booker. I say that, and he knows why I say that, because he legit got hot at me one time for using that in a promo. It's an inside joke. He can tell it if he ever wants to. Tommy is an encyclopedia for any story in any locker room. He's like a maestro with music. He's always controlling the sympathy. Symphony. I've been out for 9 months. He is an asset and an absolute weapon. The best example I can give is the line I used on Mr. Anderson, which is truly was one of my heroes. When Tim gave me that responsibility to cut that promo in the ring, I wanted to deliver it. No pun intended, and I wanted to have a very, very good one. Tim bestowed that upon me. And I went to Tommy and said, I really love Anderson. I modeled kind of my promo skill after him a little bit. What should I say? And off the rip, Tommy said, it's not every day you get to look your hero directly in the eye, smack him across the face. That's exactly what I did. Tommy, I thank you. Now, there's so many people I want to go in depth on, and I just can't, because if not, then I'll have the whole show. You'll have no Ryder Cup winner, and we don't want that. So, Graham Bell, legit. Legit, one of my best friends in the business and one of the few guys that keeps up with me on a daily basis outside of it. Graham keeps in contact, and he always served as a sounding board for me. He was the guy I would send my matches to when everybody else would blow smoke, and I'd want some honest feedback. Graham's the guy I would go to because he would always shoot it to me straight. He also taught me the difference between a cook and a chef, and this was recent. A cook is a good wrestler. A cook can make a good meal. A cook can make someone really enjoy the meal they're cooking. They can follow instructions. They're great. But then there's a chef. And a chef knows how to put a little pinch of this and a little pinch of that. And you know what? It needs a little bit of that to make this great. And to listen to you to do what they're supposed to do. Because of Graham, I'm a damn chef. I'm going to give you a hit list here really quick. Luke Langley, Dan Weber, Handsome Jack, Diamond Duke, Dutch Hagen. Man, some of my favorite memories in a locker room is just sitting back and shooting it with y'all. Like, for real, Dutch was my first match. He was incredibly giving. Kenny is one of the most underrated wrestlers I've ever been in a locker room with, and I love to talk food with him. And Jack is a guy I watched in Spavinaw when Jeremy and I were just kids in the backyard, and I've been able to have a good time with him for all these years, so I appreciate you guys. Chris Burnham, Colossus, Zachariah Zeus, Johnny Black. Man, I love me some John Black. If I'm in an alley and I got to pick one person to fight out of that alley to live, I'm calling John Black. Let's just be honest. Like, that guy's going to figure it out. Sam Stackhouse, Titan Yin. Titan, I'll tell you, you possess every single tool it takes to be successful in this business. If you do not make it in this business, it's simply because you did not work hard enough, because you have everything it takes to be successful. And I'm proud of you. Drake Gallows, Wrangler Rhett, Coco, Coach Doggins. Love Coach Doggins, man. We spent a lot of time in the cars on trips. I can't even go into all of them because they're so long, but he introduced me to Mr. Hero in Cleveland and the donut shops and all the fun stuff we had. But also, he was an OKXOG, so I know y'all hate him, and you can hate him on the show, but you get to cheer him during my speech, okay? And Aaron Anders, of course. I know Aaron's not here, but that last match doesn't happen without Aaron Anders. John Cross. There's not much more I can say about John than what I already said when I inducted him into the Hall of Fame just a couple years ago. In my eyes, John is the best performer I have ever seen live. And I know he says I'm better than him, and it's because he's being nice, because that is a bold-faced lie. John was phenomenal in the ring. He made me feel, he made the audience feel, and he just had that it factor. I learned so much from just being John's sidekick. I learned to make your entrance matter. I learned to never phone in a performance. I learned to make the moments between the moves mean the most. I learned to connect with you, not just perform for you. I learned that rinse due every single day. When John left wrestling, I just wanted to be the next person to try and fill his shoes. And in doing so, I found myself in the showcase, the god of WFC, Alex Royal. I pillaged John's moveset, I mimicked his pacing, but I was given his finish. So how apropos is it, right, that Dexter's in this ring tonight, John was in this ring, and the brainbuster that I was given, the moment called for Dexter to eat a brainbuster from John. And we were in the ring, and John grabs Dexter, he looks at me, he throws Dexter at me and says, "It's yours." I hit the brainbuster. That, my friends, is passing of the torch. And I've never told that story, but I've always remembered it. Now, the horns, I added those myself. So, thank you to the MGK M&M beef. Tim knows what I'm talking about, but that's where I snagged those from. John also gave me the idea for the kill shot, probably the single thing most of you remember me for. And I stand on this. It is the one true finisher on a table full of signatures. Once upon a time, John gave me a knife for a big match. He told me every good wrestler needs a good knife, and I've really tried to keep that tradition alive for the last 10 years. If you've wrestled a big match with me or carried a big moment with me, I've always given you some sort of memento, because what we do here is easily forgotten, right? But what I want you guys to do is I want you to look at those mementos and remember the good times. Because sometimes in this life, you need to remember the good times. In short, John's a brother to me and one of the most influential people in my life. I thank you for everything. Big Stevie Caballero. Stevie would respect this, so I'm going to keep it short. We just did some damn good business. And I'm going to leave it at that. Zach Royal, what a opening, what a speech. I appreciate it. A lot of you, and we live in a world in wrestling where you never know if people are really brothers, you know, right? And Zach is an actual brother of mine. The pre-show classic Zach, as Burnham likes to call him, the American gangsta. From the backyard to the main event, Zach has always been a good sport, and he always played his role to absolute perfection. Most people get in this business to be the star, to be the champion, to have the glitz, the glamour, the entrance, to have this microphone. And Zach always just cared to be a supporting piece because he wanted to be around the people that mattered to him. I could go all day, but I don't need to because it comes down to this single line I'm about to say. Zach is every single bit responsible for me being in this WFC Hall of Fame than I am. Truthfully, I should take that ring that I'm going to get, I should cut it in half, and I should give Zach the other piece because that's how much my Alex Royal persona doesn't work without him. So Zach, I do appreciate you, and I love you. Lastly, Tim Rockwell. Here's the cold hard facts, okay? You want facts? Here's facts. I would have never been a professional wrestler without Tim Rockwell. Tim found me. Tim recruited me. Tim gave me endless opportunities, and most importantly, Tim gave me this microphone. All I ever wanted was freedom on this mic, and Tim trusted me. Tim knew I would always give him 100%. Tim knew if I was on the card, he was getting a promo. Tim knew if I had a story, I was going to litter his inbox almost to the point of annoyance, almost like a jealous ex, because I knew what I wanted, and I knew what we could accomplish if we were all on the same page, and I fought for what I believed in. So all you wrestlers that don't have direction, message Tim. Talk to Tim. Talk to your peers. Talk to the wrestlers that have been doing this forever. Talk to Jack. Talk to somebody and have them help you because that's how you get ahead. Tim listened. Tim loves this business and he loves to be around people who share the exact same passion, and that is an absolute shoot. Tim will never get the flowers he deserves because it's not the cool thing to celebrate people. But as long as Alex Royal has the microphone, I'm going to give him the damn flowers. Tim knew I was tedious, detailed, controlling. Oftentimes I was a pain in the ass. I can admit it. Any young wrestler that caught me in the locker room before or after match and I was short with you, I get it. I was a little bit of an asshole. I don't work here anymore, so you can't get mad at me for saying that. But I'll be honest, there's a Mount Rushmore for matches in WFC. That cage match is definitely on there, Tim. And Tim, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you. This doesn't happen without you. And I can't wait to watch you perform for as long as you decide to do it. Thank you again. Now that we got through the flowers, I think it's time to send them home happier. In this case, send you into the show happy. But I bet you've been looking at this weird little box right here. I don't know where the hell the cowboy hat came from. That's not mine. I'm going to touch it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and set it right here on the ground. All right. It didn't, just so you know, it did not land in a good way. But I bet you've been looking at this box and you're wondering, why does Alex Royal have a box? What's in the box, right? Well, But first, there's something I want to address to the current roster. There's something I want to address to the current champions. There's something I want to address to the people that put this show on and has tried so hard for the last 9 months to fill the boots that I left behind. But first, before I do that, I think there's one thing I have to make perfectly clear, and that's when this microphone hits my mouth, you sit down, shut yours, and listen to what I have to say. See, I want everybody to know, and I want everybody to understand. At any point in time, if I decide to put these bad boys back on, I'll show right back up and collect your egos like taking candy from a little kid on Halloween. I want you to understand that. I came to this company with nothing, and I'm leaving here with everything. Don't be surprised when my kid's old enough to ask what Daddy used to do for fun, because I'll show right back up here, grab this microphone, and bury you. Why? Because Alex Royal delivers.
The showcase is here.
Time don't kill me, it just makes me meaner. I'm not part of your moment, I'm the end of it. Shit. I'm the reason they retire early, name in their mouth, legacy dirty. Walk through war just to sharpen my blade. You talk about respect, I made that grave. Put your top guy down, then I ghost his name. Another flash in the pan with the paper flame. Same ring, same ropes, but a different beast. I don't wrestle, I feast. You can't move me, you can't break me. I've been here too strong, too steady. You can't run when the storm is ye. I'm the constant, built to outlast everything. Still standing, still savage. The ring is mine and you're just passing. Time fades.
One of my biggest regrets I have ever had in my entire life was retiring Alex Royal. But I'd rather you be mad at me than your wife be mad at me, because that's the deal we made. I had to retire you, bud. She wanted a child. I told you to film your Hall of Fame speech because you're going to have a child before the Hall of Fame, and I'll be dang if you didn't have a child. You're welcome. It's, I'm telling you, Tim Rockwell got something going on around here. It must be something. I got so many stories that I could tell about you for the last 11 years that I've known you, but I'm not going to get into that. But if you want to know any Alex Royal story, I will always tell you, because Alex, you have been my best friend for a long, long time, and I don't mean that from just a wrestling standpoint. The night I had that heart attack, man, I found out how much of a friend you really were to me. It's not the fact that guys like Berryman and Reed, I will always credit saving my life. But when I was in that hospital and I needed a friend that wasn't my wife and daughter, it was you. And that meant to me more to me than anything in this entire world, because I knew that outside of wrestling, I was going to be okay with Alex Royal. Inside the ring, I enjoyed everything we have ever done, from the villains to history in the making, and to that cage match that I will credit is the greatest match that I've ever will be in. And I don't care if that makes me look any different, but that was a masterpiece, and I want to thank you for that. But see, you see up on that wall there, 2023, it was Dexter Hardaway. I had a major story with that guy. 2024, it was John Cross. I had a major story with that guy. 2025, it was Stryker. I had a major. You see what I'm saying? Is it seems that I'm just keep putting my enemies into this Hall of Fame, and it's just not fair. So those three up there, they have something that you don't, though. And in order for you, now you're going to wonder, you had a box, I got a box. You can't be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I'm not getting ready to ask them to marry me, so don't. I know what y'all's thinking, but yeah. So I might ask Zach to get on his knee and do it for me. But anyways, this box right here, this is your box. What's in this box is what represents your 11 years of hard work, 11 years of dedication, 11 years of fighting against childhood cancer, and 11 years of being the showcase, Alex Royal. Unintentionally, it has your kid's birthstone. That's actually kind of cool. With closing, Alex, on behalf of me, Wrestling for a Cause, and the WFC Nation, welcome to the class of 2026.
The showcase is here.